Then, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to 2Q FY22 conference call of Action Construction Equipment. From the management, we have Mr. Saurabh Agarwal, Executive Director, Mr. Rajan Luthra, CFO, and Mr. Vyom Agarwal, Head Investor Relations. We will have an opening remark from the management, post which we will open the floor for Q&A. Over to you, sir.
Good afternoon, everybody. I am Saurabh Agarwal, Executive Director at ACE, Action Construction Equipment. And I welcome everyone to this earnings conference call for discussing the results for the quarter and half year ended 30th September 21. We hope that you are staying safe and healthy. Along with me in today's earnings con call, we have our CFO, Mr. Rajan Luthra, and our Senior Vice President, and Head of Investor Relations, Mr. Vyom Agarwal. I hope that all of you have had an opportunity to look at the company's financial statements and the earnings presentation, which have been circulated and uploaded at the stock exchanges. To brief you on the financial performance of the second quarter of FY22, the operational revenues grew by 35% on a year-on-year basis to 3,363 crores, with an EBITDA margin of 10.2%. The EBITDA during the quarter increased to rupees 37 crores in comparison to rupees 26 crores on a yearly basis, which is a growth of around 42%. The PBT grew by around 57% and PAT grew by 58% year-on-year to rupees 30 crores and rupees 23 crores respectively, while the PAT margin stood at 6.4%. In the quarter gone by, the company registered a strong revenue growth across all the segments. In the crane segment, we reiterated our dominant market leadership position and registered revenue of 241 crores with margins of 11.26%. On a year-on-year basis, the crane segment registered a robust revenue growth of 45%. Similarly, we were able to achieve 30% growth in our construction equipment segment with stabilization of EBITDA margins and 42% growth in our metal handling segment with sustained EBITDA margin at 12%. The revenue in agri segment fell a little short by around 6% due to erratic and prolonged monsoon season, but the EBITDA margins were sustained close to 8% in this segment. It is important to note that despite the challenging times of prolonged monsoons, the company achieved its highest ever revenue, EBITDA and PAT margins for the second quarter due to sustained focus on cost efficiencies and customer-centric approach. Further, I would like to state that although in the first quarter of current financial year we witnessed disruptions on account of second wave of COVID-19, but the company was able to recover well and thereafter we witnessed sequential growth with every passing month. For the first half of FY22, we have been able to grow our revenues by 84% and our PBT has grown by 281%, PAT by 308% to 56.17 crores and 42.34 crores respectively. For the first half of FY22, the margin profile stood at 10.13% at EBITDA level and 8.18% at PBT level and 6.16% at PAT level. On the operational side, the prices for many commodities continued to be at a multi-year high. Steel and metal prices continue to be at elevated record levels, while crude, rubber and allied products have also rallied significantly. Further, global supply chains are witnessing massive disruption with shortages of shipping containers, skyrocketing shipping rates, congestion at ports, and the recent energy crisis in China. So in summary, while the operating environment has improved, it has remained challenging in this quarter. Further, the inflationary trend is continuing in the current quarter also, especially steel increasing by another 8-10% within the current quarter, that is October. The way we will manage this is exactly how we have done in the past few quarters. We will try and continue to manage the delicate balance of ensuring competitiveness of our brand and keeping EBITDA margins in a healthy range. The quarter gone by was also a very significant quarter for the company since we successfully completed our QIP of around 135 crores from a diverse mix of marquee investors. I would like to thank our investors for supporting the company during the QIP. Our strong cash flows and balance sheet as of date will ensure that the company continues to invest in long-term sustainable growth initiatives through market expansion and consolidation. We have a clear and compelling strategy. Our strategic position in infra, manufacturing and agriculture sectors, underpinned by strong operational excellence and our distinctive capabilities, will enable us to drive growth and create a purpose-led, future-fit ACE. In the last quarter, company expanded its presence in the defense sector by getting a major breakthrough order for multi-purpose 4x4 tractors from the Ministry of Defence, Indian Army. We also received orders for manufacturing and supply of special knuckle boom cranes, which have been designed specially by us for the Ministry of Defence for handling missile systems. The past 18 months were tough for the nation and the economy, but we have been able to emerge stronger out of this, thanks to our colleagues and team members who kept their focus on cost and serving our customers. The rapid pace of vaccination, continued support from the government, and receding threat of third wave of COVID give us confidence. We expect strong pace of economic recovery to continue in the second half of this year. And the economy seems to have gotten back on track, and monsoons have receded totally, although a bit late. And now looking ahead, as of now, we would like to reiterate our previous guidance of at least 15 to 20% growth in business revenue for the current year, with a possible upside, and EBITDA margins to be between 10.5% to 11% in this year. With this, I would like to open the call for a question and answer session. Thank you.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now begin with the question and answer session. Anyone wishing to ask a question may please press star and 1 on your touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and 2. Participants are requested to use handsets while asking a question. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. The first question is from the line of Homer Irani, an investor. Please go ahead.
Yeah, my first question is, there is this company that makes composite CNG cylinders which are 10 times lighter than metal cylinders, has 1.5 times CNG carrying capacity, that is 50% more, and they're explosion proof. So my question to you is, why don't you introduce in the states of Gujarat, Delhi and Maharashtra, where there are abundant CNG filling stations, CNG running tractors and forklifts, okay, that are fitted with these composite cylinders. It will be a game changer. It could be a game changer for you. That's my first question. And my second question is, when it comes to your agri equipment, can you give me a breakup between harvesters and tractors?
Yeah, to answer the first part of your question.
The third question is regards to your last one call, you had mentioned that you are going to do a purchase that will increase your, of another company that will increase your bottom line. So is that a component manufacturer that you're buying that will increase your burden, or is this going to be a new technology that is going to incorporate?
Okay, what I'll do is I'm Saurabh Agarwal. I'll answer the first and third question, and second question Mr. Musa will answer. So we already do forklift trucks which are fitted with CNG and LPG kits.
Yeah, but they have composite cylinders because they are 10 times lighter. They have a higher carrying capacity as well, and they are explosion proof. And they are manufactured by Time Technoplast, which is an Indian company.
Okay, we will also explore this, sir, like you have proposed. But like I was mentioning, we are Time Technoplast, you said.
Yeah, they manufacture composite. They've just recently, Peso was passed their composite CNG tank. Recently it was passed. So now they can sell it in the open market. Okay. Composite cylinders are 10 times lighter. Okay. They have a 1.5 times carrying capacity for the same size of metal as compared to a metal tank, same size tank. The carrying capacity is 1.5.
I have understood, so we will check that out. But like I mentioned, we are already using CNG and LPG kits for our forklifts and currently working on adapting the same to our cranes and backhoe loaders.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is the composite cylinders will be a game changer for you.
I have understood that, and made a note of the company also, and then we'll definitely look into it. With respect to our inorganic growth possibilities, we are looking at both at the component level also and complete machinery level. And we are at advanced stage of talks with a couple of people. And going forward, we are expecting that we might be able to do something within this quarter, at least one of the possibilities. So let's see if we are able to finish it in this quarter. And regarding the breakup of agri numbers, Mr. Luthra will just reply.
Okay.
At present, we are becoming number 2 in the harvester business, and probably in the coming next year or year after, we will be number 1 in the harvester also. As regard breakup of between the harvester and tractors, nearly 25% of the business is coming from the harvester, and harvester is a very small market as compared to tractors. So, in spite of that, we are going to be we're already number 2, but we're going to be a market leader, just like cranes and forklift in the coming years.
Okay. Thank you very much. That's all.
Thank you. The next question is on the line of Kashyap Zaveri from MK Investment Managers. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you very much, sir, for the opportunity, and big wishes for the festivities. Congratulations, sir. Really great set of numbers.
You'll have to be a bit louder, please. Yeah.
Sorry, just give me one. Is this better?
Much better. Yeah.
Yeah. Sir, thank you very much for the opportunity, and my best wishes for the festival that's just gone by. I have 3 questions. One is on our per unit profitability. If I look at broader numbers, about 60 basis points expansion in terms of EBITDA margins, is actually masking a significant improvement in per unit profitability across all the product lines, except for agri equipment. So what explains that significant expansion in EBITDA margins per unit in, let's say, construction equipment and cranes, and there has been a sharp decline in agri equipment? So what explains that for us? Second question is on our working capital. Seemingly it's almost eaten up the whole almost half of the QIP money that we had raised, and despite that QIP closing in the end of September, there has not been a marked increase in the cash balances. So what's your view on the working capital cycle as we go forward, and as we grow much faster? And third question is on our service network. What's the number as of today, as at the end of H1, in terms of service network and dealers?
I'll answer your last question first. Service network with respect to cranes and construction equipment is close to 100 plus locations, maybe another 5-6 more than 100. They keep on fluctuating 1 or 2 numbers here and there.
Okay.
With respect to working capital requirements, our standard working capital earlier used to be close to about anywhere between 40 to 45 days, which is now at about 76 days, primarily because we were ready to do more business in the last quarter and even the quarter before that. And that's why our inventory levels are a little bloated up. I would disagree that even after raising the QIP, our cash balances or our working capital still is utilized there, because that money has been put as of now temporarily into investments. It's not reflecting. And in any case, our borrowings are down to 57 crores even after that, which by the end of the year we are hopeful that either they'll be close to zero or maybe at best order 15-20 crores.
Okay.
With respect
to 76 days that you mentioned, would this go back to the old 40-45 days number?
Yes, about a 45 days number. We should, as and when we decide to, start controlling our inventories, because like I mentioned, we were ready to do more business since June of this year. And unfortunately, yes, the quantum we were able to increase, but not up to our expectation. We were expecting to execute more business in the last quarter. Unfortunately, the monsoons got prolonged well into October. So, but I think now is not the time to start controlling inventories. They'll get controlled automatically, because generally second half of every year is about 55% of our business. So, there'll be an automatic correction in the inventories now. And the working capital will start to reduce the number of days. And regarding your question of per unit expansion, there might be a little bit expansion here and there only on the account of operating leverage, because numbers in the current quarter, the quarter which has gone by vis-a-vis year-on-year basis, the numbers have increased. So that might be the reason that you're seeing slight expansion there at EBITDA level or per machine level. But yes, because we've been able to somehow counter the drastic input cost increase with our price increases, which we have been doing every quarter now. As a matter of fact, steel prices have gone up again in this quarter already by about 8 to 10%, and which I mentioned in my opening address also. And we are already starting to increase our prices there. In agri, they might have seemed to be a little distracted, primarily on account that there was a slight dip in revenue around 5% on a year-on-year basis, obviously coupled with that here, because we are a marginal player here in the agri business, especially tractors. So our ability to push prices totally depends on how the other, bigger players are pushing their prices. So there, we had to absorb a little more of the input cost rather than passing it on. So that was the main reason that you see a slight dip in the profitability there.
So can one assume that in cranes and material handling, we would have passed on your probably input cost more than enough, and in tractor it would be lower than what was needed, because that's not where we are industry leaders.
In cranes and forklifts, and even in construction equipment, we have passed on more or less the increase which had happened till June, July.
Right.
Unfortunately, as I mentioned, against steel and commodities, last 1.5 months have been, increasing drastically. So that again we are pushing as of now. In tractors, yes, the total price increase required was not pushed, looking at the competitive scenario in the market. But I'm sure within this quarter that would also start to.
Okay. Sure, sir. I have more questions, but I'll come back in the queue.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is on the line of Ashwini Sharma from Anand Rathi. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. Good afternoon, sir, and congratulations for a great set of numbers.
Yeah, good afternoon. Thanks.
Yeah, I have three questions. First is, where are we in terms of capacity utilization, especially on the crane and the construction equipment side?
We are unfortunately grossly underutilized here. In cranes, we are about 45-50%, and in construction equipment, we are close to 30% as of now.
Close to 30%. So where do you have already guided for 15-20% revenue growth? So what would be your internal target by end of this year, taking your utilization level?
See, if I tell you my internal target, you will take it as an external target, and then it will be a problem. So definitely more than 15-20%.
Got it, sir. Sir, on the price hike, so if you could tell me what was the price hike that was taken during the Q2, and on a YTD basis, how much price hike we have taken in the crane segment?
See, last year in the quarter 3 and quarter 4, we took close to about 10-12% price increase, and in quarter 2 this year we took close to another 10% price increase, 8-10%. And now going forward in quarter 3, in the month of November, we are again pushing the prices another 5-6% to compensate for the increase in input costs.
Got it, sir. And is the similar case with the CE also, the construction equipment?
Yes. It is a similar trend. The pattern of increase might have been a little different, but the overall quantum would be nearly similar.
Got it. Yeah, I have a few more questions. I'll come back in the queue.
Okay.
Thank you. The next question is on the line of Suraj Devra from Paladin Capital. Please go ahead.
Hi, good afternoon. I have two questions. Firstly, could you just explain the seasonality in this business?
Yeah, good afternoon. See, for our core business, cranes and construction equipment, so generally first quarter and second quarter primarily because of monsoons. So it's about 40 to 45% of our business, and generally the second half, the first half of the year and the second half. The second half is about 55 to 60% of our business. This is mainly skewed because of monsoons, because the infra and the construction activity goes a little slow during monsoons, and unfortunately monsoons got a little prolonged well into October this year. So we are hopeful that, October was good and things are looking up. So let's see how it pans out further with respect to execution of projects. And agri follows the agri pattern. So generally for us, the second half is, starts from quarter two, and second half is generally better for us in agri.
Is it fair to say that quarter three will see higher volume and higher prices than quarter two?
Yes, it should be, and it should be like that. And that's what the numbers we did in October does make us believe it should be like that, yes.
And is that also in line with what you're seeing from purchase orders coming from your customers based on whatever ordering they are getting from government contracts and so on? Are you seeing a month-on-month ramp up?
Yes. We've seen that happening even in July, August, September, month-on-month. A little bit, 5-10% here and there, yes, but increase. Then we saw that again a little more than that in October. Unfortunately, it's a little too early in November because, Diwali was there more or less in the first week and we just opened up a couple of days back. So maybe around mid of November's position becomes more clear with respect to orders going into November. But we are hopeful that we should be looking at sequential growth in October and November. December might be similar or slightly lower because, with respect to cranes and construction equipment, the year change thing happens and certain retail segment of the market just holds on their purchases and wait for January. So I would say October and November, there should be significant increase. December might be a little slightly lower as compared to October and November.
Sorry, what is the logic for the December to Jan?
See, because a lot of rental companies are there. 50% of our cranes, construction equipment, even more than 50% is sold to rental companies, hirers, retail market. So they delay their purchases from wherever possible from December to January so that, it helps them in the resale of the machine. Just like a car or a truck. So, when it is resold, they say which year model it is. So if they buy in December, they will say 21. If they buy in January, they will say 22.
Understood. Right. Okay. Thanks for that. And my second question was actually, I missed your opening comment. Somebody asked a question about the M&A plans. Could you just talk about that again? Where you are in the process and what kind of company you're looking to acquire?
Yeah. See, we have some options of, inorganically being able to increase our top line as well as bottom line, but yes, more focus on bottom line. So at component level is one thing, one of the key things we use. And secondly, where we are focused a little more is, a similar type of product that we are doing where we'll be able to consolidate in our space, which will help us in improving our bottom line.
Similar product, as in like a similar company and in a different geography, like a different part of the country, which will help expand your network, or it'll be overlapping networks and.
A lot of benefits will be there. See, because what is happening is this is a smaller company at a lower price point, hardly selling anything but spoiling our prices in the market. To be very frank with you.
Mm-hmm.
So that will give us the pricing power to be able to sell the products at the right price. So they lose money, but they end up spoiling the market in certain pockets.
Okay. Understood. Great. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Raj Mehta from Raj Mehta and Associates. Please go ahead.
Congratulations, sir, for a good set of numbers.
Yes,
and thank you for giving me an opportunity again. So, apart from the numbers, I want to ask you a few specific questions. So now, sir, what is that one thing which excites you when you come to work every day? So going forward now, from being a small cap to a mid cap company, so you have also raised a QIP and you have increased, you have brought the very well known investors. So what is that one thing which excites you every day?
What is the one thing that excites me coming back to work every day, right?
Yeah.
I would say the thought of reaching 3,500 crores ASAP because it seems possible.
Okay.
In terms of the top line, yeah.
Okay. And sir, what are the improvement areas in the organization? And if there are any, then what are the steps you have taken towards the same?
There are improvement areas in all aspects of any organization, I'm sure. And similarly, there are lots of these in our organization. So It is a continuous ongoing process which keeps on happening, depending on department, depending on division, depending on, plants.
So can you just give me a brief, maybe one or two, which you might have, it might be a very small step, but, I just want to have a brief idea where the organization
you want to talk about?
Sorry?
You name any department, maybe I can give you. Because like I said, it is happening. Improvement is a continuous ongoing process everywhere, improvement and upgradation. So if we talk of our welding and if we talk of our weld shop, fab shop, so there we are further planning to go into some semi-robotics and robotics depending on, where the components, similar components are there in multiplicity. So if we talk of our final product finished quality, we are working on setting up a totally world-class new paint shop, so which is still under designing, so that we are further able to offer better aesthetics on our products.
Okay. And sir, the technology which you have bought a few years back for that electric forklift, how is that panning out right now? Since the demand in warehouse has been increasing, and that forklift is generally used in the warehouse. So how is that going?
We did not buy any technology for forklift. We evolved it on our own. Forklift we've been making for many years. Last year, we were the first in the country to indigenously design and manufacture a lithium-ion technology-based electric forklift. And it is picking up reasonably well, but still people prefer the standard lead-acid battery-type electric forklift because the price-wise they are more economical.
Okay. And so my last question is that what is that one type of segment of your business which today might not be a huge part of our revenue, but you feel that segment can do very well in the next 5 years?
Which is not part of our revenue currently.
Might be a small part of your revenue, not a big part.
I feel the construction equipment segment of ours.
Okay, that is a very big story for you.
It will one day be bigger than cranes for us.
Okay. I have few other questions. I will get back in the queue. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Kashyap Zaveri from MK Investment Managers. Please go ahead.
Yeah, sir, just one question from my side. We have done a fairly significant growth in terms of volume in all segments except for agri. What would be the industry growth for H1 in all these industries?
The industry growth would...
Industry growth.
Yeah, I've understood, whether cranes or construction equipment or material handling.
Construction and MHE segment.
Yes. I won't have the answer for that right now, but I know for sure the Q1 data which I remember seeing, we were faster than the industry everywhere.
Okay.
Much faster, and I'm sure Q2 would also be similar, but unfortunately I have not seen that data so far, so I'll not be able to comment.
So on a qualitative, comment, would our market share gains be significant in H1 versus last year?
Definitely. For cranes, I know for sure it has increased by about 1%.
Right.
And for others, like I said, I've not the data is not handy, and I've not looked at it in that perspective, so I will not be able to answer.
And in this growth versus, let's say, even versus, for example, H2 of last year, at least, in cranes we have done, despite monsoons and everything, the volume, drop has not been so sharp. So versus about 3,300, we still did about 2,400 cranes. What would have given that number? Which
last year? No, I could be
last year.
Reason for volume growth this year. Reason for volume growth this year?
I'm saying which industry would be key driver of that volume number?
The cranes primarily, as I always say, are sold to the general infrastructure industry and manufacturing industry. Ratio is 60-40. And I think both the segments are driving it as of now. manufacturing as well as infra. And forklift or metal handling is especially into manufacturing and logistics. So I think everything is being driven as of now.
Real estate.
Right. Real estate again is picking up. So yes, cranes are going to real estate as well.
Okay. And to estimate this MHE revenues, can one just sort of look at what's the warehousing capacities which are coming up in the country over the next 3-4 years?
Very difficult to put it together because what happens, see, in metal handling, forklifts are used in most of the plants and factories. And these warehousing things which are coming up use the smaller machines and the battery-operated pallet trucks, some stackers. They also use forklifts, but more of the smaller machines. So it's very difficult to, put it in that perspective.
Okay. Yes, sir. That's it from my side, sir.
Okay.
Thank you. The next question is on the line of Aman Rakesh Shah from GT Investments. Please go ahead.
Hey, hi sir. Thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah, good afternoon.
I had a question on this same working capital thing. If we see FY19 when we had a peak business in recent past, our gross current assets were inventory and debtors both together were around 350 crores. And in H1 it has increased to 500 crores and contributed both by increasing debtors and inventory. So is it only because of our expectation of higher business that we invested a lot more in working capital? Or is there something where have we rejected our trade credit policy on the debtor side?
See, with respect to inventory, yes, it is our business decision because we really suffered last year on account of supply chain. So it's a temporary decision which we continued forward well into Q1 and Q2. And let's see, Q3 it's still very much there because now the business is going to increase in all probability. And with respect to our receivable days, yes, they have increased by about 40, 50, 60 crores over what we used to be. But that is primarily because of COVID-1 and then because of COVID-2, the second wave. The finance and the payments from the financiers which are secured are getting delayed in the normal process by about 15-20 days. Coupled with that, our exposure to exports is also increasing, wherein business is done generally on a 90 to 120 day LC term. So that is also a reason that you are seeing a little increase in our receivables. But I think all of this is controllable because now it seems that the COVID is waning off. So maybe Q4 or Q1 next year, even the receivables, apart from the export exposure of 7% of our revenue, we'll try to bring it back to normalcy, and obviously we'll have to work very hard with finances. Rather, we had started doing this in Q4 of last year, but again in Q1 COVID struck. So, things again rolled back to delays from payments with respect to finances.
Okay, right. Exports also would be, for this quarter, it was 7% of our sales, sir?
It's about 7%, yes.
Okay. Sure, thank you. All the best.
In the first half, it is 7%. I think in the quarter, it is not 7%, but yes, we'll catch up.
Okay. All the best.
Yes.
Thank you. The next question is on the line of Sanjay Satpathy from Amarsan Capital. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi sir. Thanks a lot for taking my question. So my question is that the guidance of 15%, is it for the whole year or for the second half?
The guidance of?
15%. That 15-20%.
15-20% is for the whole year.
Okay. So essentially you are indicating a decline in next half, right? On a like-to-like basis?
See, it's a very tricky question. It should at least be the number.
You asked for it because by giving that kind of a guidance.
I can't do anything more than that, see, because the situation is very tricky. Like I said, 15 to 20% with a possible upside. So I also said that.
Okay. Because the number suggests that you will decline by some 15-20% on a year-on-year basis, and last year second half benefited from pent-up demand. So I thought that maybe you are looking at a decline because the pent-up demand is exhausted.
No, but here I would just like to say that last year we did 1227. We have already done 682 in this year. So actually we need to do 545 to reach there. But like I said, 55% of the business at least happens in the second half. So going by that, it should actually be more than 20%. But let's see, sir.
Okay. And I just on that same issue, you have taken almost 7-8% price increase and another 3-4%. So overall, almost this year average price increase compared to last year would be something like 8-9%. So that means your volume growth is hardly anything.
Volume growth will be around close to 15%. Price growth will be around close to 8-10%. So it should actually be 20-25%. We are just keeping a buffer in place. You are trying to extract the exact, somebody asked the internal target. So internal target is 25 to 30. Let me make it very clear. Let's see.
And my last thing that I wanted to check with you is that your number one segment is crane, and earlier calls also you had indicated that the growth expectation is the lowest in cranes and higher in other segments. So is that something which you are continuing? That is, you are not really as optimistic about crane as others?
See what happened, that in the last 2 quarters, second half of last year, cranes picked up very nicely. Mm-hmm. So that is the only reason that we are a little slow on projecting our crane growth numbers at about 15%, 20%. Mm-hmm. In other segments, especially construction equipment and in agri, our base is very small and our penetration into the market is smaller. Our market shares are very small, so our scope of growth is much bigger.
100.
So that is the reason I say that construction equipment will grow faster than cranes. Cranes will also grow, but construction will grow faster. And if everything goes well, no third wave coming in, then I think quarter 4 onwards, we should be looking at a blast.
Okay. Great. And hopefully, we will hear lot better guidance next time. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is on the line of Siddharth Gautam, an individual investor. Please go ahead.
Hello. Hi, I'm Siddharth here. Congratulations on the very good quarter. Well done. I have a few questions for you.
Sorry.
My first question is, Honorable.
Yes, please.
Sir, Sir, your audio is not clear. Can you use the handset mode while speaking and not the speakerphone?
Please. My first question is on EBITDA margin. You have indicated that margins might come under pressure in the next half of the year due to inflation. What are we going to do to protect margin? Price increases, operating leverage, what are we going to do? And will we reach the margin of 10.80% that we reached last year in this year, or will it be lower?
We are trying our level best. That when we started this year, we were very hopeful that we will be able to expand our margins. But it looks like a distant dream, because in quarter 1, again, commodities, especially led by steel, there was huge increases in prices, which have happened again in quarter 3 now. So currently our main focus is on sustaining our margins between 10.5% to 11%, and that's why we are also taking a price increase in November. So I think we should be able to maintain similar to our last year margins and not be able to expand our margins. We'll be very lucky if we're able to do it. This again depends totally on the operating leverage part of it. So if in the let's say balance of this quarter or quarter 4, if the numbers start to surge with respect to our volumes, then maybe we might be able to better it a little than last year, but I would say they'll be more or less flattish in the current year, primarily because input costs are beyond our control. And to be very frank with you, now we are getting huge resistance from our customers also, because the prices have already been increased 2-3 times in the last 7-8 months. So it is actually becoming difficult to control our customers, and we don't really want to lose our market share to further try and expand our margins at the current stage. So it is a very delicate balance that we are trying to fix up. So that's why it seems that it will be difficult to expand margins in this year, but we should be able to maintain them at least. And we'll be there, but in saying this, I'll also say that yes, there might be a possibility, but that will only become clear in the quarter 4. Because generally Q4 is the biggest quarter for our industry.
Thank you. In construction equipment, we achieved a 30% year-on-year growth this quarter. That is good, but we were expecting a 50% growth rate. What happened? What is your guidance for growth rate of construction equipment in the second half of this year? We have a target of reaching 500 crores of sales from construction equipment in 3 years. Are we on target to do it? Because current run rate is around 150 crores per year. So will we reach that target? And lastly, how many backhoe loaders did you sell in this quarter, in the previous quarter and in the same quarter of last year?
Okay, we have done, like you said, 30% growth in our construction equipment segment, and if you with respect to the current year, we will be projecting only 25-30% growth in construction equipment. Yes, but we are very hopeful that we'll start attaining 40-50% levels. We could have done more in the last quarter also, but unfortunately, prolonged monsoons were the main deterrent for the sale, and also a substantial price increase on account of BS4. But we are still very hopeful that in the second half, we should be doing better than 30%, maybe reaching 40-50%, if not more. And with respect to our numbers of backhoes, look at it. We can give by quarter. Yeah. So in the last quarter, we have done close to about 98 machines. And this quarter, we have done 131 machines. And same quarter last year, we had done 104 machines.
And I ask, the process of subsidizing the agri equipment business, where are we in that process? Have we completed it? Is this a first step towards selling that business, or are we going to continue to be in that business?
Unfortunately, you'll have to repeat your question because it was not very clear to me.
Repeat the question. The process of subsidizing the agri, you wanted to make the agri equipment business into a fully owned subsidiary. Where are we in that process? Have we completed it? Is that a first step towards selling off the business, or are we going to continue to be in the agri equipment business?
Okay. See, we have thought of subsidizing it, but unfortunately we got busy with our fundraising plan. So hopefully sometime soon we should be in the process of doing it. And this is being done primarily to bring in more focus into this division and to drive its profitability and top line growth. So as of now, we have not thought of selling it or anything. But everything depends on the business dynamics and the type of value addition which is possible by any such thing. So I mean, we are open to ideas, but as of now, we are trying to grow it. Yes.
Okay, my last question. We have a target of achieving.
Sorry to interrupt, sir. May we request that you return to the question queue? There are participants waiting for their turn.
Yeah, this will be the last question.
I have a last question. We have a target of achieving 2,500 crores of sales in 3 years. Are we on target? Right now we are around 1,400 crores run rate. Will we reach that target? Is it still valid? Second, what are you going to do with the QIP fund? Are you going to reduce debt, do an acquisition? How are you going to use the QIP fund? That's my last question.
Okay, I think we are on track for doubling our business in 3 years target, which is 2,500 crores. We would have expected this year to be slightly bigger than what we are projecting now. Let's see, by the end of the year, it might be. And, we are going to use our QIP money as per the utilization objectives which we had put forth in our document, which were the general corporate purposes and inorganic and organic growth, maybe some debt reduction. So, obviously, as per the planned utilization, we're going to use it.
Okay, just a last clarification. The target of 500 crores of sales from construction equipment within 3 years, we will achieve it, right?
Just a second. Let me recalculate. In all probability, even if we miss it, maybe by a max of 10%.
We'll achieve it, right?
We will achieve it. If there is a problem, max plus minus of 10%.
Okay. Thank you very much. Congratulations on a great quarter and keep up the good work.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Rajendra, an individual investor. Please go ahead.
Hi. So I have one question to ask. So you said that you will double the revenue to 2,500 crores, right? So my question is, so if we reach that revenue target, so will it be through the existing capacity utilization, or we envisage any new capex spending to reach that?
Existing capacity utilization. We don't need capex to reach 2,500 crores.
Okay, thank you. That's all I wanted to know.
Okay.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Homer Irani, an individual investor. Please go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to ask you with regards to exports. I've seen that you mostly export to developing countries in Africa and elsewhere. Are you looking to export to Europe and the US?
Recently, with onset of BS4 norms, so we are now currently looking at expanding this to Central Asia, but primarily towards Eastern Europe and Russia. So that's the first thing we are planning of. And not really mainland Europe or America. But yes, definitely South America.
Okay, so not the developed countries, because there's added to a lot of competition there. That is why.
A lot of competition and the sophistication they require in this machine, that's also possible, but we'll take it step by step. There are enough opportunities available in Eastern Europe and Russia and Central Asia. So first we'll explore that, expand there, and then go forward.
But won't Eastern Europe be dicey with regards to payments, especially Russia and all that, with the situation over there?
Totally on secured payments, LCs, which are counter guaranteed by bigger international banks. So
okay.
We don't risk
all right.
payment at all. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks. That's all.
Okay.
Thank you. The next question is on the line of Raj Mehta from Raj Mehta and Associates. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Sir, if you have mentioned that you have received the order from the government, defense. So if we are going to take the orders from the government, then will our working capital will be stretched from the current levels?
Maybe a little bit, because generally the payments from Ministry of Defence or Indian Army are pretty good. So we don't really see a problem there. And in any case, most of these bigger orders are not supplied in one go. So, they're spread over 6 months to 1 year of delivery period. So we really don't see a problem there.
But what is the general payment cycle? How many creditors days we have?
Indian defense payments happen within 30 to 60 days of supply of the receipt notes.
Okay. And so what the target which you have given to double the revenue is excluding the acquisitions which we will do, or it's purely on organic basis?
This is more or less on organic basis, yes.
Okay, and if we do the acquisitions, then
because the inorganic growth will supplement more to the bottom line, to be very frank with you.
Okay, so the bottom line may be doubled, may get doubled way faster than the top line in next 3 to 4 years.
Not double. Double would mean 20% EBITDA. I would love that, but definitely increase, yes.
Okay, and so how is the industry of this manufacturing and apart from that, or also the infrastructure boom which is happening right now, how is it panning out on ground levels? Because you always receive the you are always the initiator when the cycle picks up. So
yes, I think things are looking good, and
okay.
I think only time will tell how fast or how big it will become. But things are looking good. We are very excited.
And so how the operating leverage which we kicks in when the demand comes back. So can you give us just a general multiple, or how much if we do 100 rupees a sale? Suppose after utilizing 50% capacity utilization, say in cranes or in material equipment, and after that another 10-20% utilization levels, then what is the profitability that increase? It's at the similar level, or how much is the pace of the utilization? How much is the fixed cost, and what is the variable cost which are involved? So just a brief, I just want a brief number, not a.
I understand what you're saying, but in the current scenario, the biggest problem is that the input costs, especially material costs, are increasing at such drastic levels.
Mm-hmm.
So making all these calculations are not very fruitful. But yes, keeping aside that the abnormal increase in input costs which have been happening in the last 8, 9 months, 10 months, I think for every additional about 100 crores, we should be beyond the level of, let's say, after a turnover of 1,200, 1,300 crores. For any additional 100 crores of revenue, we should be adding about 17, 18 crores to our EBITDA.
So that will be 17-18% additionally, not
yes, above 1,200, 1,300 crores, yes.
Because of the operating leverage.
Yes, yes. So the obviously, the profitability increase much more beyond a point. But obviously, you have to keep in mind the input cost, because in the last 1 year, we have been, managing between input cost and our margins. There's a very thin line.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, sir, and have a great year ahead.
Thank you.
Thank you. A reminder to the participants, anyone wishing to ask a question, may please press star and 1. The next question is on the line of Harsh Bhatia from Emkay Global. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity. I was just trying to understand the trend for construction equipment financing interest rate. So I think it's between 8 to 10%, but we don't have the exact rates in hand. If you could provide some light on the same, that would be very helpful. Yeah, the construction equipment financing rates.
Yeah. Depending on the customer profile, today it can range anywhere between 8% to 13%. It totally depends on the papers and the balance sheet strength of the purchaser. So if it is a financially sound, good guy, a good company, it could be 8%, or for retail buyers, it could be as high as 13, even more than that.
Okay, so the same range would be 5 years ago as well. Like in 2015, it would be in the range of 8 to 13%. It's not like housing.
So it was slightly more than that, I would say. At that time, it was maybe, 9.5% to maybe 14%.
Okay.
There has been a slight reduction, but a very small one.
Okay, all right, thanks.
Thank you. The next question is on the line of Rajiv Maheshwari from Praj Investments. Please go ahead.
Good afternoon, Mr. Agarwal.
Yeah, good afternoon.
My question is divided in 2 parts. The first part is regarding the couple of defense orders which we had won a couple of months back.
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to know what is the status on those orders in terms of execution, and do we expect some more repeat orders on the same products or some further orders on newer products which the defense team is looking at? Because the government is focusing much on the defense part. So how does ACE take it forward?
Yeah, see, one of the bigger orders is close to about 75 crores, and the other order is close to about 25 crores. So hopefully they will be put into execution sometime in the next year, but that would be only initial batches of supply. Next quarter 4. The actual effect of these deliveries would be coming in the next year. I would say 80-90% of the revenue part would be in the next year. And yes, once they get into execution, supplies start to happen. So the requirement is much more than these numbers, not only for these machines, but other machines for which we have already pitched in. For example, our backhoe loader is currently under trial in Leh Ladakh with the Army, along with our competitor machines. And another machine will be pitched in very soon. 1 or 2 other things have already been done in the past for which we are expecting orders. So yes, we are expecting more orders to come in, but I don't think that would be before next year early, next financial year, maybe Q2. We'll be lucky if we're able to get something in Q4.
Okay.
But the revenue effect of the current orders would more or less be shifted to next year.
Yeah, that's understandable. But going ahead, more orders are expected, and maybe that would come into effect maybe sometime next year.
Yes, definitely.
Okay. And the next part is, how is our Forma brand for tractors doing in the export market? Because
it has started to pick up well. But unfortunately, in exports, what has happened in the recent past is that the freight has gone up 3 times, 4 times, 5 times.
Okay.
And that has become a very big deterrent. So that's why in the last quarter, if you see Q2, although first half we have done 7% revenue share of exports, but last quarter was slightly lower than that. So, it's been slowed down a little because of that, but I'm sure it will pick up.
So the product as a whole is acceptable. The only problem is in terms of the logistics and the shipping side.
Yeah, because the prices have gone up so high that, the customers even outside India are not able to digest this increase in price. So they're settling in. But the product and the acceptability, there's no problem.
Okay. And just one question from the academic point of view. There's lots of discussion regarding the chip shortage and all. So I don't think our company is using chips in our products as such.
What has happened that all our engines, whichever we are using, which are bigger than 50 horsepower, have an electronic controller unit, ECU, on the engines.
Okay.
They're electronic engines. So all of these engines use chips in the controller.
Okay.
So we were well aware of that this problem was growing up. So far, I would say 95% of our supplies we've not faced a problem. Only in engines bigger than 150 horsepower, 130 horsepower, which we are sourcing from Ashok Leyland, there has been an acute problem of chips in the last 1 or 2 months, 1.5, 2 months. And but because our quantities of those engines are small, so Ashok Leyland is promising that they'll get us out of this trouble by December.
Okay, so our consumption is only in the low powered tractors, and that is adequately covered as of now.
Yes, and they are all adequately covered. But yes, like I said, about 30-35% of our cranes and most of our backhoe loaders have electronic engines. But as of now, we have not faced any problem because we were very well planned, and that is also reflecting in our inventory cost.
Yeah, right. Because lots of other people, there was hue and cry in terms of the stock of chips and the production being hit.
We've been overstocking engines for about a month. 1 month extra inventory we've been carrying in the last 3-4 months, 5 months. Because we anticipated this problem.
Yeah, you planned things and maybe the inventory is on the higher side, but at least the production and dispatch was not hit in terms of what other companies were facing.
The inventory carrying cost vis-a-vis the cost of losing revenue is much more.
Okay.
So we planned for certain things, components like that. Yes.
Okay, right. Anyway, the planning was okay. That's all from my side. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, that was the last question. I now hand the conference over to the management for their closing comments.
Yes, things are looking good. Economy is coming back to shape after the slowdown and the buoyancy which took a hit post the second COVID wave. And the buoyancy has been building up little by little over the last 3-4 months. And we are very hopeful that Q3 should be good, if not great. But we expect a good Q4, definitely a much better, bigger Q4. That only time will tell. And like I said, in the short term, our prospects of the company are good. But we are very bullish for the medium term to long term prospects of the company. And with that, I would like to end my address. Thanks a lot. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.